In this section, I'm going to teach you how to test advanced programs in Marketo. The only real way to test an advanced program in Marketo is to actually run it with a test list. So let's go ahead and test the program. Find your first advanced program that you've built. A few things we need to do when testing a program is we need to first change the distribution list. So obviously you don't want to make this mistake of sending this out to your real list. So we need to check that we're actually targeting a test list and not a live list of customers. So that's the first thing we need to check. The way to double check that is then to switch to the schedule tab. And what you should do is have a look at the existing leads. So if it's a very low number like this, then most likely it's your test list. If you see a few hundred or thousand, that's most likely a real set of users. You can click on those leads and see exactly who this would target. This is a good thing to check before you test this. Unfortunately, don't check this. You could actually send this live. So this is a test lead. Great. That's what we want. The next thing we need to prepare before our test is to actually check that all the triggered campaigns, that's the one with the little light on, have been set to run every time. So if you just have a look at the summary tab, we can find this on the schedule tab as well. But on the summary tab, what we're looking for is each lead can run through this every time. We'll need that for testing. You can always change that back for the live event. Once we've set up the program for testing, we need to actually run it. So for this particular program, we're going to actually send the email out. So we'll go to the schedule tab and make sure that the number looks right before we click run once. We're going to run it now. As soon as you run that, let's have a look at the results tab and see if the activity we're expecting occurs. So the email's been sent to my test leads. That's good. Now what we need to do is actually walk through the main user stories to make sure they're all correct. So the main user stories in this particular campaign are fairly simple. Number one, as a prospect, I want to receive an invite so I can register. And number two, as a prospect, I want to register my interest and get a confirmation email. That's the two user stories we're testing. So now what we'll need to do is go to our email and actually make sure that the email has arrived. But firstly, we want to check that the email's been sent, which it has. The other thing during testing is you need to open the leads that you're testing on. So if we click on one of those leads, could be more than one, but let's say we've just got the one. We'll also want the activity log open while this is occurring so we can see what's happening from a particular lead's perspective versus the perspective of the campaign. That's very important when testing. So you can see that the email's been sent by this particular campaign as well. Now, what we're interested in seeing is also what email was it actually sent to. So in this particular case, it's fabcapo@yahoo.com, so I'll need to check that email. So I've checked my email and I can now see that this email's arrived. Let's click on the email and have a look. So what we're looking for now is the registration link. So we want to click on that and make sure that it takes us to the registration page. So let's click on that. That's one of the critical parts of the test to see if it comes through. The other thing I'm looking for in this particular case is because the form is pre-filled, I'm checking that it actually does get pre-filled, which it has. Now what we want to check is if we go back to the campaign and we refresh this, you'll see that some more things have happened. The email was delivered, which it was, and then there was a visit web page. So that was me clicking on the link. Now, if we look at it from the perspective of my test lead, let's refresh it. There's quite a lot of activity occurring. So firstly, the email was delivered, and what I notice is now I'm looking at the wrong date here. So you need to actually make sure you're not looking at old history. So let's scroll up to the top and make sure that we're looking at the right day, which is the 15th today. Let's refresh this. So the email was sent, it was delivered. There was a merge of leads. We're not really interested in that. But what we're interested in is this visits web page. So Marketo has correctly tracked that I've visited this particular landing page. Now, if we go back to the send email campaign and the flow, what we've tested now is the send email. But what we haven't tested is the wait 5 minutes and send another email when I haven't clicked on the link. So what we really need to do to make sure this campaign's working, at least for the send mail section, is to actually reset it, rerun it, and not click the email so that we make sure that after 5 minutes a second email is sent. Rather than resetting it right now, let's continue on the testing. So I'm going to go back to the landing page, I'm going to select a job function, and then I'm going to click book now. I want to firstly see if this landing page works correctly. And to test that, what I'm going to do is go to the registration campaign. Remember, this is the campaign that triggers when I fill in the form. And I'm going to go to the results tab and see if anything happened. So right now, no activities have been found. Sometimes it may take a while, so be patient. What we see now is that these two events have occurred. So some activity is actually occurring in this campaign, which means it's triggering. Now, if we go back to our test lead and we actually have a look at the the activity, you'll see that there's a visit web page. The data value's been changed because we added marketing executive as the title. Our program status has changed, and then more importantly, the fills out form has occurred. So that's the most important, that the fills out form from this particular campaign, so my first advanced program, occurred, because that means our campaign's working. So now we refresh again and we see that the email's been sent, which is what we wanted. We wanted a confirmation email sent, and then also the alert has been sent. So if we click on the alert, we'll actually get the email that it was sent to. So that's the alert notifying the marketer or the salesperson that the person has registered. So now we've confirmed that send email and registration both work. Obviously, if it were a real program, we'd also want to go look at the confirmation email and the alert that they actually were the correct ones sent out. But because we're just using one single email, there's no point looking at those things. The other thing we want to do is reset this program so that we can test the second part of the flow for send email, which is resending the email when it wasn't clicked. In this section, I'm going to show you how to reset a program so that we can retest it. Now, we've already run a test for my first advanced program. We can see the members here. So there's actually been activity occurring through. And also there's results in each of the particular campaigns in the tabs. Now, if we simply want to rerun it to run some alternate tests from the core user stories, then what we need to do is firstly, we need to go to the members tab and get rid of all the test leads in here. So we select them. There might be multiple. We change their status to not in program. So now we have no members found. Now this is enough for us to rerun this particular campaign. So let's resend the email. And now we'll retest the alternate flow. However, if we want to really retest it completely, and maybe we do this at the end of a set of testing, and we want to actually clear all the results out within the campaign so it's absolutely fresh, what we need to do is actually clone the entire program. Then we can delete the old program, we can keep it, but we need to rerun the testing on a brand new cloned version of the program. So you would only really do that at milestone points in your testing and not every single time. Because if I reclone this program, I then need to reactivate all the assets. I need to reactivate all the triggered campaigns, which is pretty time consuming.